Hello, one, hello, all. It is electric here, folks, at Federico Gymnasium. Not just any game, we are in the playoffs, folks. The Bulldogs hosting the Eagles in a very unusual scenario. The regular season ending with a matchup right here between these same two teams. Bulldogs hoping it ends the same way it did last time. The Bulldogs have faced Barrington Eagles 2 times this season, and they've managed 3-0 sweeps both times. Now, hold the phones, hold the records. We got a game in front of us, folks. It's a best-of-5 match, and this squad is fired up. They're playing with nothing to lose. They only have one senior. The entire team's practically returning, full of sophomores, so this is by no means a walkthrough for Westerly. Both teams are lining up, I do believe. I don't know exactly why, but we are about to get started here, folks. I have the whole story of how the Bulldogs got here, why they're here, and what their ceiling could be, because there may not be a ceiling for this squad. Or, on the other hand, this could be the end. I am the voice, Greg Moreno, alongside producer, owner, Shane Melanger. We have Lisa behind the lens. Together, we are Westerly.live, Westerly.radio. We are bringing you live quarterfinal boys volleyball action. Bulldogs versus Barrington. They've played twice this season. They just played. Another little catch here. It could affect one team, and you have no idea which team it would affect, but neither of these teams have played in about 12 days. I think they've had 11 full days off. 12 days ago was their last game, and again, it was against each other. So a very unusual scenario to open things up. Both teams are on the court. We're only seconds away as the official climbs up to the top of the net here. We're getting ready to go. We have seniors on the court, folks. I'm going to go over it. This is it. Last time they're ever going to play in Federico Gymnasium, regardless of the outcome. If they lose, they're done. They go home. If they win, they got a trip to East Providence. Bulldogs almost beat East Providence this year. I'm going to tell you the story about that. They couldn't close them out. They had them in the first 2 games, and then they lost the last 3, the 5th one being a tough one. Well, lots to talk about, folks. They're getting ready to get started, going over the last things here, and I think we're ready to go, folks. Playoff quarterfinal action, Westerly.live, Westerly.radio, bringing it to you. We're your source for high school playoff sports. I'll tell you what else is going on when we have some time, but serving now is the Eagles. Here we go. First serve of the game, we are live. Quarterfinal playoff action. Armitage just set lefty. Hake, the hammer to start. That's the solution right there for the Bulldogs. That's exactly how they wanted to start. Great serve by Hunter Armitage, the senior, that I just became aware he is going to play. His volleyball career is not over today. He will move on to Dean College and play volleyball. So congratulations to him, and what an asset Dean College is getting, because such an important player, such a vital player on this Bulldog squad. And he serves, forward spin, dug by the back line, and the set. Spike opportunity goes into the net on the Eagles, and I saw a lot of that in pregame. They're not the tallest team in the world, but they have a really, really good setter. I remember that. Park, he's only a sophomore, number 6. He puts it on the money wherever he wants every time. So they threaten offensively almost every time. That serve goes out of bounds on Armitage. Bulldogs have a 2-1 lead early on in game 1 in this best-of-5 quarterfinal matchup. Federico Gymnasium, folks. Westerly.live, your only source. And wait till I tell you what we have in store for you tomorrow. And the serve by number 13, Luke Ansiger, handled Armitage, and the spike dug out on the back line. Samo tries to put it down, handled Park. Set, spike, out of bounds deep, wasn't touched. That's going to be a side out, point Bulldogs, and they will get the serve. Set to serve is Hake, who's starting out on fire here. The lefty hammer's been on the spot both times. One time dug out by the back line. The first time hit the floor. I have a feeling we might see that quite often tonight. This is his last touch of Federico Gymnasium. That matters to these guys, let me tell you. And that is an ace, folks. And he has his own style of serving. I love it. He drops it in different ways, different spots. He places it. Sometimes it's on a line, sometimes on a lob. You never know. You can't get comfortable. You can't get lazy when he's serving. And the jump serve and that's going to be short into the net. As I speak of it, that happens. And side out, 4-2 the score here. In this race to 25, win by 2. So I must say, the last time they met, I do believe it was May 26th. And the Bulldogs won by set scores of 25-22. And the serve, back line, handled by Ogle, Armitage. And Hamlin, the return, good for the Bulldogs to dink over its head. And a welcomed return out for a major portion of the season to injury. I see that small cast on his arm. Must have been an arm injury. I'm going to go with, but he's a very big asset to have back on the Bulldog squad. In addition to his setting ability, he can do a lot on the floor. And a nice set and spike. That's going to be a point for the Eagles. And that's pretty much their formula, is get it to Park somehow after one hit. And he will run and he will set from any point on the court, as you see on the replay. So he puts their offense in a position on almost every possession. The Bulldogs, however, are bigger, and definitely when they're in a flow offensively, I do believe are harder to stop as far as the defense would go. The floater handled by Samo. Armitage back to Ogle, adjusts and handles it, and Park with it. Spike, block attempt, and Ogle can't get it to go over. Block attempt originally by Kenyon and Ogle. Bulldogs are able to return it, so the score is going to be 5-4 Westerly. We're just getting started here, folks. Both teams with a gap before playing. So like I said, you never know how this, he lets it go inbounds, I do believe. That's going to be a point for Barrington. An error on the Bulldogs, just a missight, and that should tie things up here, the replay. That was definitely inbounds, I do believe. So the Bulldogs not quite, maybe not. Maybe not. That was a lot closer than I thought. Regardless, the Bulldogs definitely, you can see the warm-up here, a little rush shaking off. But you got to shake it off quick because there's no tomorrow. There's a million ways to say it. Number 12 for the Eagles. Hake with the dig. Armitage with the bump save, and Hammond didn't realize he had to get it over. Barely did if it was going to go over at all, put down by the Eagles. So the Bulldogs all out of sync, and the Eagles were fired up just prior to this one, and they are a buzzsaw. They're young. They got nothing to lose. Most of them probably never been in the playoffs before. And you hear the bench alive, and their fans are alive, and the serve is deep. Bulldogs, much-needed unforced error, much-needed side-out, and they get the point and the serve. And that will tie this thing up here in the first game early on, back and forth. A little bit sloppy, especially on the Bulldogs' end, but not to be, it's nothing unexpected. If I tell you the story of how they're here today playing Barrington and why they're not waiting like East Providence is, I mean, they had Mount St. Charles, undefeated Mount St. Charles, North Smithfield, and Ogle puts it down and they can't return it. That's essentially almost an ace. Ogle made sure it didn't get back over. Point for the Bulldogs, 7-6 as Allen serves. Brian Allen, the sophomore, number 21 for the Bulldogs, with a 1-point lead. And the serve handled by the middle line, and that's Park, back set. And the spike doesn't go over off the inside of his hand. Number 7 with the attempt. Kiyomo Jimmy, a sophomore, like most of the rest of the team. And the Bulldogs with a 2-point lead, Allen serve. Allen, nice knuckleball style serve, and they handle it. Park had to run for it. No one really set up. They dump it over, but the Bulldogs seem all discombobulated. Weren't ready for it. Not sure what happened there, but it was definitely an unforced error, and the Eagles will take it, and they'll get it back, down only one. And Park serving for the Eagles. So it took 5 sets for East Providence to beat the Bulldogs. It took 5 sets for Mount St. Charles, North Smithfield to beat the Bulldogs. Armitage to Ogle to the back line, dug out. Park, set, spike attempt, dug out by Hake, nice job. Off the rafter, handled by Ogle at the last second. Armitage has to dump it, whistle early, and that's going to get the Bulldogs? No. Overruled by the far judge, the Bulldogs get the call and the serve, big call there, as Hamlin will take the serve and the Bulldogs get the 9-7 lead. I'm not sure what the infraction would have been, but regardless, Bulldogs serve, Hamlin, front spinner to the back line, dug out, and Park will set. To the near side, spike attempt, brought back up by Hake, that was huge. Bulldogs get it over, now it's going to be whistled. Carry on number 6 Park against the Eagles, and the Bulldogs will take their 10th point, 3-point lead, and Hamlin will serve again. Hamlin's a good player all over the floor, so definitely a welcome return. There's no doubt about that. And he can definitely jump as well. And sometimes as soon as I say that, folks, the opposite happens. That's called Murphy's Law. I'm called the voice, and it happens to me all the time. 10-8. Let's hope it doesn't happen as the game matter more and the points start to accrue here. Number 19 serving, Cam Kelly, sophomore, the Eagles. Jump serve. Backline deep, lets it go. There we go. We needed that side out, and 11-8 lead. The senior, Ogle. And the seniors for the Bulldogs, Dante Wilk. We haven't heard his name yet at all, Marcus Hake. Hunter Armitage and Jackson Ogle. This is it, folks. Last game here for certain. Last game at all for Westerly if they don't win. And that goes out of bounds, and the Bulldogs take the point on the short volley. As you see on the replay, they haven't been getting Park the ball in great position. So there's going to be a substitution. Number 20 comes in that's Obermacher, sophomore again, for the Eagles. And Ogle, the senior, serving with a 12-8 lead, the biggest lead so far. To the back line, to the no-numbered yellow jersey, and a spike attempt. big hit out of bounds to call. Point Westerly as the Eagles are celebrating. The Bulldogs get the point. But boy, that was definitely a hammer for certain. And out of bounds it went. Nice job by the Bulldogs of pulling back by Allen. And both teams seemed confused. The right call was made. 5-point lead. And Park set on the near side. And he gets it off his body out of bounds. That was pretty much self-defense by Allen. A nice set and spike scenario by the Eagles, who needed it, who trail now by 4, 13-9. And I think it may be number 1 serving Van Ness, a sophomore. Silver number, I do believe. It is. To the back line, handled by Allen, but not well, and the Bulldogs can't pick it up. 10 points the Eagles get. It's a 13-10 score. Game 1, best of 5 series. Quarterfinal, playoff action. Westerly.live. Westerly.radio bringing it to you from Federico Gymnasium. Season finale here, folks. We're closing the doors for the 2022 year. Spring season. And Hake with the lefty hammer puts it down. Him and Armitage right now. And Allen, you know what? Those three seem to be the only ones really in a groove thus far. And we have a timeout called by the Eagles. Big hit by Hake forces it. It's a minute timeout. The Bulldogs so far. All right, they needed that. So far, there's been 24 points scored, 14-10 lead. They needed that to shake the rust off. This is their break. They're going to get a little water. My predictions are going to come out even better. The Eagles have come out. They're loose. They're all loose. A lot of them have never even been in a playoff situation before. They have absolutely nothing to lose, as they only have one senior not returning. The Bulldogs have their core of 4, and you can hear that huddle on the Eagles side. As I was saying earlier, it means really nothing now, but when the Bulldogs played the likes of East Providence, who the winner of this will face on the road, they had the first 2 games. They won the first 2 games and lost the final 3. I know that doesn't mean a lot, but what it does mean is you can play right with that squad and beat them. And they did the same with unbeaten first place Mount St. Charles, North Smithfield. So the sky is the limit, but they can also have a tendency to come out and play to the same level of their opponent and back and forth action. We saw a lot of sweeps this season, a lot of 3-0 victories. They didn't, in fact, go to 5 games until late in the season, and I believe it was against East Providence. That was their first exposure to 5 games. And Armitage with the serve. Here we go. We're back in action. Park with the low set whistle. Bulldogs point. 15-10. Here we go. So like I was saying, their first exposure to 5 games in a match was against East Providence and Mount St. Charles, North Smithfield. They have that all under their belts now. But with their careers on the line, these 4 seniors and the entourage to complement them, the set by Park on the near side, and he puts it down, and the Eagles crowd awakens. Eagles get their 11th point and trail by 4 and will serve number 13 as the Eagles bench is chanting. Ansinger, Luke, sophomore. I have not said anything but sophomore yet for this Eagles squad. Man, the future is going to be pretty good for this team. The serve handled by Kenyon. Armitage to Hake. Dug from the back line. Nice job by the Eagles. And a throw over, I thought, but they give him credit. Miscommunication. Hake's going to have to dump it. And he does a good enough job that the Eagles can't return. It barely went over, but just enough. He's got the hot hand so far in game 1. And for the Bulldogs, they are fortunate. And they're fortunate he's serving right now, 16-11. The senior, number 5, the lefty. And the serve, line drive, and they try to dig it. They can't. It's an ace. And he doesn't often serve that style. That's right, you guys love to watch him serve. He teardrops it. He puts it up near the rafters. He'll throw knuckleballs in there. I've seen him do all sides. You can't get complacent. You don't know what's coming. They got 4 people in the back row. That's a nice shot deep, and they saved it for the Bulldogs. And they're going to have to dump it over from deep. And to the back line, they're able to. Ogle can't handle it. Nice job by the Eagles. Got to give credit where credit is due. And this young team is going to keep coming at you. It's going to be a long night for this Bulldog squad. There's going to be no quit in this Eagle team. They're young. They're going to come at you. They have no exposure to losing before. And they're going to grow from whatever the finals are here today. Number 20 serving. Hamlin to Armitage. Kenyon dumps it over. And Park, set, spike. Nice job by Hake with the dig. Off the rafters to the other side. Out of bounds is the call. Rafters can't go over the net, and that's what it did. So the Bulldogs lose possession, 17-13. Good effort on the Bulldogs side. Bounces going Eagles' way at the moment. With the serve, number 20, Max Oberacker, the sophomore. Hake Armitage, low one to Kenyon, and a nice job as he teardrops it right by the net. The Eagles get themselves trapped at the net, and the Bulldogs get the side out, the point, and Samo with the serve, another name we'd like to hear more. I actually don't even see Wilk out on the floor. And Park with the serve. And the spike attempt goes deep, Bulldogs point. And they're getting nearby that number, folks. Oh, it's a tip. Reverse the call. And I'll take that comment back, 18-14. I have my own little number rule, and they're not there quite yet. And this is anyone's match here, anyone's game here, folks. Definitely anybody's match. Whenever you run into a young team, they're like a buzzsaw. This Bulldog team, the whole league has seen them. They can reach the top of the state if they put it together, but they got to put things together. And they get called with the carry. It was a turnaround, back, fading away, attempt by Samo, hit both hands. Eagles soar to their 15th point and only a 3-point Bulldog lead. Number 12, Maddox Godwin, sophomore, of course. And that goes into the net. The Bulldogs needed an unforced error, as they have made more unforced errors in the first game, but they've needed every one that the Eagles have made. 19-15, folks. Now they start to sniff 25. Can they make a little move? 21. Brian Allen serving, and he does a great job. He's only a sophomore. He's on the court a lot of the time, folks. And the serve, knuckleball to the back line. Park with the jump set. Number 19, spike attempt, dug out by Samo. Saved by Allen. Dumped over by Armitage. Good job by the Bulldogs. Park gets in. One of his own players got in his way. Dug out by Allen, and out of bounds it goes. Nice effort by the Bulldogs. Good job by the Eagles. Point Eagles, 19-16, anybody's game. This is only game one, folks. This is Westerly.live, Westerly.radio, bringing you the excitement. Excuse me, the players are bringing me the excitement. I'm just telling you what they're doing. And the server, Park, with the setter with the serve this time. And the Bulldogs, Ogle, we're not hearing him enough either, but he scores the point there. That's my point. We're not hearing his name enough. I don't know what the situation with Wilk is. It was really good to see Hamlin come back and return to the Bulldogs lineup, but it's definitely not a trade with losing Wilk. I hope he's not out to injury, but that's got to be what the status is. And you can see the difference on the floor. Spike attempt to the back line. Nice job by Samo. Brought back in. Nice job by Armitage. Ogle spike to the back line. And that's going to score a point for the Bulldogs. And they're getting there. 21-16. Only 4 more. And the dog pound really didn't arrive in force here tonight, folks. I'm not sure if they're aware of the what happens if the Bulldogs don't come out victorious here. They don't ever get to come back here and watch them play volleyball, folks. Ever is a long time. And that spike attempt by the Eagles flies a little too far. 22 for the Bulldogs as they near that magic number. 3 more to go. 22-16 to score. The Bulldogs playing just good enough at the moment. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. The serve by Hamlin. The set by Park. Soft spike attempt handled on the back line by Hamlin. Armitage to Hake. Beautiful job by Hake. Game 1 has been controlled by Marcus Hake and Hunter Armitage. I have to tell you, timeout forced by the Barrington squad. A 60-second timeout. The Bulldogs 23, the Eagles 16. The Bulldogs only 2 points away from being victorious in game 1 of this best of 5 quarterfinal playoff matchup, folks. This is the last volleyball action in Westerly of the season. If they win, they move on. They face East Providence, the number 2 seed, the big bad East Providence Townies. Well, folks, we faced them earlier this season, and it took the Townies to come back and win 3 in a row to knock the Bulldog squad off. So this Bulldog squad knows that they can play right with them and that they can beat them because they only lost by 2 points in that 5th game. So, that being said, I really think, I would love to know what the story with Dante Wilk is, because talk about a huge cog. He's a captain. He's a senior. He touches the ball generally 80% of their offensive possessions. He's not on the floor at all. The return of Hamlin is nice, but still, maybe they're saving him, assuming the win here today. I don't know. Maybe there's a nagging injury. That's better than a season-ending injury. Regardless, we're back. We're ready to go. Hamlin serving, 23-16. Race to 25. The serve. Out of the timeout to the back line, not handled well. Park has to bump it. They have to dump it, and it's a whistle for a carry. Bulldogs point. Game point. Game 1. Can the Bulldogs put game 1 in the books? and make it a best-of-3 series for themselves. Hamlin's return. He's trying to serve the victory. The teardrop. Park the jump set, and that's going to go deep, but Sabo brings it back in. Armitage to Ogle down. Hammers it down with authority for game 1. Wakes up the crowd and the team. A little bit of a sluggish start, and that's what I was worried about after an 11, 12-day layoff for both of these teams. Final game 1 in the books. Bulldogs 25, visiting Eagles 16. Bulldogs need 2 more to move on to the Final 4 in the state. And the Final 4 comes down to the winner between Pilgrim and West Warwick, which is going on here tonight. Not here, but going on tonight. The winner of that faces Mount St. Charles, North Smithfield Co-op, and that's also who Westerly brought to 5 games. That's in the other bracket, and in this bracket, the winner moves on to the East Providence Townies. So, that being said, the Bulldogs have played with both teams, and that's their story of their season. One game flips them to the team that's on the road, just sitting at home watching. But you know what? I don't think that would have been a good thing. If the Bulldogs had another week off, like the Townies do, and then had to play, or another 4 days off, or whatever the heck it turns out to be, I think that's just too much. That would have been too much for them, because it took I don't know, maybe 14-10 was about the point where the Bulldogs kind of turned it on, got more in sync offensively. You really didn't hear Ogle's name enough. There's a few players you didn't hear their name enough. But they did get by, and they got by. They won by 9, so it looks like they dominated. And when they turned it on at that point, the back half, they really looked a lot better. They're going to have to play better next round, but that goes back to the time off. I thought it would affect them. It did, but they're 13-5. The Eagles are 8-10. The Eagles are young. 4 juniors, 8 sophomores. That's their squad. 1 senior, no freshman. So most of their squad's returning next year. A lot of their squad's never been in the playoffs. They're excited. They're excitable. They can definitely come back. You got to think that at some point, intimidation does step in. The Bulldogs have now played them 7 games this season and won all 7. So, that being said, I had all sorts of stuff we can talk about with Westerly. Got all sorts of college signees with student athletes moving on, playing to the next level, and one right here on the court today. In fact, we're just going to focus on him. This is our one opportunity to focus on just volleyball, because this is it for the season here. And again, I want to give accolades to Hunter Armitage, such a key element to this entire Bulldog, their entire system. Offensively, if it doesn't touch his hands, the Bulldogs are worse off. There's no doubt about it. Their offense is supposed to go through him, and when it does, they are successful far more times than they are not. And that's been the story with them all season. And here we go, Dante Wilk on the court. What a relief, folks. That was a huge deep breath. Moving forward, they absolutely need the senior. Everyone's slapping his hand. He's on the court. Hanlon's back. Now you're seeing a fully healthy, at least fully on the court, Bulldogs starting squad. And I don't mean that as in whoever's on the bench over there will not be rotating in, because Brian Allen's a huge part. He has really, when they needed him, he stepped up so well. He is now in their rotation. That's how Brian Allen got his spot. And right next to him is Jack Kenyon, and he has time in this rotation as well. So we will be seeing them on the court. There is no doubt about it. But seeing Dante Wilk back is a huge, huge, huge addition for the Bulldogs. All right, we're getting ready to get started here. Game 2. Game 1 in the books. I am the voice, Greg Moreno, alongside producer, owner Shane Belanger. We have Lisa behind the lens. We are Westerly.live, Westerly.radio. Quarterfinal volleyball action. Federico Gymnasium. Bulldogs took down Game 1, getting ready for Game 2. This production is brought to you in part by the Knickerbocker Music Center Live. Watch local bands live from the Nick in downtown Westerly, RI. Valenti Subaru, Wireless Zone, Strategia, Remy's Cycles, Teddy's Toys, and McQuaid's Ace Hardware as the official ball comes into play, I do believe. That one's more official and better. The other one, they might have deflated it. You never know. That was just a joke for all those out there. No conspiracy theorists here. Not on Westerly.live. Armitage with the serve. Here we go. Game 2, and we're having fun in Westerly. And that goes out of the way. They're going to have to save themselves and dump it over, and they do. And Hamlin to Armitage to Samo, and in for the point. The spike inside the back line. Through the hands of Hunter Armitage it goes, and it turns into a Bulldogs point. 1-0 Westerly. looking for an 8th win in a row against this team, and that's hard. It's hard pressed to really expect something like that. The jump serve, a beauty. Back line handled well, dug out. The serve set by Park. Spike attempt, and it's called. In the playoffs, we have officials over there. During the season, they have players. I'm going to trust the official, but I'm going to check the replay because at Westerly.live, we have replay, we have slow-mo. We got it all for you, folks. You can check it yourselves. But I do like the fact that they have 4 officials in the postseason as opposed to 2 who quite often during the regular season don't agree with each other. They have a hard-pressed job. Ogle through Armitage. Wilkes first touch, and it's a Westerly point. And the spark plug ignites the Bulldogs to a 2-1 lead, a side out, and a Hake serve. And Hake's got a high hand since he walked in the gym tonight. This place must mean a lot to him, folks. He's a senior. He's a multi-sport star. And this game means a lot to him. I can only imagine being in his head. And the spike attempt flies deep. The set was there for Park. Park generally jump sets. It seems to be his go-to. That's his style. It hasn't been dead on all night, folks. Don't get me wrong. These young guys are making adjustments to it. Back to Hake. That's another Hake point. Bulldogs up 3-1. He knows this is his last game at home of any sort in Westerly. And it falls. It's an ace as he drops the teardrop style on the unexpected Eagles. 4-1 and serving for the 3rd point. I mean, he's a three-sport athlete. He plays on every field, on every level, and top level on every sport. So this game in Westerly, dug out by Ogle. Beautiful job, brought back over by the Eagles, and the spike attempt by Samo, blocked by the Eagles, and the Eagles do a nice job defensively. And they will get the harder inside out in the point, 4-2. And they are excited, folks. That's what you get with youth. You get excitement. You don't get a blasé game. They're excitable kids. They got nothing to lose. They leave it all on the court. I do believe if Westerly plays within their system, they're going to continue their success against the team. Handled by Ogle originally. Samo to the far corner. Nice placement. Was brought back in. And they're forced to dump it over. Number 1, handled by Ogle on the back line. To Armitage. To Wilk. Teardrop. Beautiful job by the Eagles. But their attempt almost went out of bounds. Armitage got his fingertips on it before it went. Point goes to the Eagles, 4-3. Number 1 in gold, I don't know why, the sophomore Van Ness serving for the Eagles. And folks, Westerly.live, Westerly.radio, Similori Field. If you can't be there, tune in tomorrow night, 6 p.m. The serve goes off the net, and the Eagles starting to get some bounces, and they are excited. Their bench is excited. The fans to my left here are excited. Then we are back at even, 4-4, starting fresh here in game 2, quarterfinals. And here we go, number 1, picked up by Hamlin, the set by Wilk to the net, he's whistled. Point for the Eagles in their first lead of game 2, 5-4. Van Ness serving for the Eagles. Bulldogs a 3 seed. Facing a 6-seeded Barrington with the serve. Ogle with the dig to Armitage. And Wilk to the back line. They dug it out. Nice job. Number 12 spike attempt into the net. Nice job digging it out by the Eagles. Fortunately for the Bulldogs, the spike goes into the net. Side out, and Samo will serve. They even things up at 5 points apiece. As these games count down for these seniors, this is their home career counting down. Their Bulldog career, in fact, counting down. And I don't mean to sound sappy and all that stuff, but it really does matter. It really does go through these guys' heads. I'll tell you that right now. Ladies as well, it doesn't matter the sport. And that serve flies for the Bulldogs. And they'll match things back up at 6 again. They'll take the unforced error and the side out. And mistakes like that by the young team kind of prevent them from getting into any kind of a groove. And to beat this Bulldog squad, they need one. Wilkes, first serve, jump serve, handled by the front line, and that screwed them all up. And they got forced to dump it over. Samo to Wilk, to the net, a little too far. And the Eagles handle it. The set attempt went over the net. Eagles maintain that 1 point edge. They keep going back to number 12 serving for the Eagles. Godwin, sophomore again. Only one touching the ball are the sophomores, folks. And the serve handled by Samo. Wilk to Armitage, the spike. Lands inbounds. It's a spike down 7-7. Side out score for the Bulldogs. Hamlin will serve for the Bulldogs. Knotted up here in game 2. Game 1 went the Bulldogs' way. If you are just tuning in, 25-16 the score. And that dug out by the back line. The set by Park, and the spike attempt goes deep. Set was a little bit deep, and their spike just not full inbounds at the moment for the Eagles. 8-7 score, though, folks. They are right there, and they have energy, and they can go on runs. There ain't no doubt about that. Handled. Park sets it behind him, forced to just kind of do the teardrop. Wilk with the set to Hake. Hammers it, but blocked. Wilk to our near side in Armitage. What a beautiful job of staving it off the net to Hake, and he hammers it down. First off, what a beautiful job by Hunter Armitage on the save that danced on the net. And then Hake with the lefty hammer and the exclamation point. Bulldogs up by 2. Hamlin serves again. And that serve. The call by the back row. Set. Spike attempt blocked by Ogle. Set back up but deeper. They got a dump. And it's too deep. Nice job by the Bulldogs and Ogle. Ogle's been at the net all night long by the Bulldogs, so I don't want to discredit his play whatsoever by saying we haven't heard his name enough. When you're at the net, sometimes your name gets called less. He is there by all means, intimidating the play of the Eagles, and they sort of threw that one forward. How they got away with that, and fell on our side. Ogle was there to block it. I think he was expecting a call. Regardless, there wasn't one. Can't harp on it, no time. This is the playoffs, progressive scoring. 10-8 to score, a slim 2-point margin. 29, Luke Furness, the only senior. His last game, he's serving for the Eagles. Knuckleball dies early. Hamlin to Wilk, to Ogle, the spike. And a life-saving bump over the net and brought down by Ogle. Point, Bulldogs side out. 11-8 lead early on in game 2 as the Bulldogs approach the halfway marker, I should say. Really not all that early. And the Eagles crowd and Eagles bench are chanting here in Federico Gymnasium. You would think they're home. There's plenty of energy for them. They try to catch them off solid, and they can't. And Hake set up for the spike. They go for the block. They can't do it. Just too much power behind it. And he has been money all night long, forcing the timeout. The lefty hammer puts the nail down for the next minute. 12-8 Bulldog advantage as we're approaching halfway in game 2. Now you got to figure here, this game is not only game 2. This game is like game 8, which is on like a monkey on the back of the Eagles, and it's starting to grow. And if game 8 goes the Bulldogs' way, and then what do you think in their heads is for game 9? I'm not saying they're going to win 9 in a row because that's unheard of. That's almost ridiculous to even consider. But they have won 7 in a row, and they're ahead halfway through. They're starting to get into an offensive system. And when they do that, folks, because defensively, they are there all the time. On the net, and as well as Diggs on the back row, they have no problem. Offensively, when they get into their system, they have their whole crew back out, which is I'm so excited to see, because moving forward, when they head to East Providence, if they close out today's quarterfinal match, there's no doubt in my mind that they can beat that team. And I don't think there's a doubt in their mind. They just got to put things together and win the day. And that's the baseball team's motto I just stole from Coach Pizzato. And the spike attempt by the Eagles, dug up by Wilkes, set back to him. Deep spike attempt off the hand of the Eagles out of the timeout. The Bulldogs score, and I always think that's a big point. Whoever scores out of the timeout. Barrington called the timeout to break momentum. The Bulldogs immediately call a timeout coming out of that timeout, essentially nullifying the timeout. So that's how I look at that. Bulldogs, great job coming out, get the point, get the serve. Ogle, number 22, senior, last time here at Federico Gymnasium. Basketball player as well, 2 sports stars, serve out of bounds, unfortunately side out, 13-9 to score. So we'll head the other way, right to left. And number 6, Park, the primary setter, is doing a decent job for the Eagles. Most of his sets just seem to be a little bit off the net, a little further back than they would like them, which is taking velocity off of their spikes, and that was a nice serve handled by the Bulldogs. Hake hammers it down. They try to block it. I'm telling you, there's too much power and speed behind it. They had 4 hands there, and I'll tell you what, they got to be looking away when that comes down. That takes a lot of bravery to get in front of number 5's left hand. And he hammers it down again, as every time he has touched that ball near that net, it's turned into money for the Bulldogs. 14-9 advantage. Park. Oh, he misses it. Slips off his hands. An unusual error by number 6 as his team does a nice job. You like to see them pick that back up. That's what you're going to see out of this sophomore squad, these Eagles. They're going to do nothing but get better. If they got 2 more years after this, they're going to be a tough team in the upcoming years. And a nice dig on the back line. Park with the set. And the spike attempt blocked by Wilk and brought back over. Park sets it back. Deep spike attempt dug out by Ogle. Armitage to Wilk, the spike. And they bring it back over out of bounds. Nice job by the Bulldogs. Nice set by Hunter Armitage. Nice spike by Wilk. I think everybody touched it there at one point, and the Bulldogs with a big side out. 16-9 lead, starting to stretch it here. And the senior on his way to Dean. But right now he's got more to do here at Westerly. And that spike doesn't go his way, but trust me, his hands are more important in the setting variety, and the Bulldogs know that. 6-point advantage for the Bulldogs. Number 19 serving for the Eagles, Cam Kelly, a sophomore. I don't see Wilk favoring anything, so I don't know if there was an injury or what that was. So I'm going to pretend it never happened because I like to see the full lineup out. And right there, the unforced error. Can't afford that, and we're going to see if the Bulldogs capitalize. I think they're going to. I think they've shaken off that rust. And like I said, I'm kind of glad. It's hard. I'm not glad to not see them play home next week against East Providence. That would have been great. But I'm glad that they don't have to wait a whole nother week. The serve by Hake. This time he goes with the speed. And the back set spike attempt into the net. It's going to be a point for the Bulldogs. 18-10 the score. No, correction, 17-10 the score. Number 5 looking for 2 in a row here as they're extending things. And let me tell you, putting an exclamation point on your Federico Gymnasium in your whole Bulldog career. Haig is doing that tonight. And again serving for the Eagles, number 1, Van Ness in gold. 18-11, 7-point advantage. The Eagles need to soar to a few points here. Can't afford any more unforced errors. Nice dig by Ogle. To Armitage, nice set, brought down by Hanlon. He may be short, but he's got hops. He plays hoops, and he puts it down for the Bulldogs. Point number 19, you saw the replay. And the chant from the Eagles, never quit bench. And fans is nice to see. You always love that. Bulldogs serving, Samo on the other end with a 19-11 lead here. And they set, short set, miscommunication. It was a one-hitter, a quick toucher they were looking for. They didn't get it across. The Bulldogs still take the unforced error. 20-11. Bulldogs only need 5 more. Game 2 if you're just joining us. Game 1, Bulldogs won. Deep serve, Van Ness handles it. Park tries to set it, deep set. And that's going to be all. He brought back in. Armitage saves it. Ogle able to dump it. Thanks to the dive by Armitage. And number 13, Spike, finds the open spot by the Eagles, who erupt. And you would never think that they are down 8 points. You would never think that they have lost 7 games in a row to this team. I'll tell you what, all the noise in the gym, besides my mouth, is Barrington's support. It's fantastic to see, I got to be honest with you. This is going to be a tough team going forward. They are young. Armitage, nice bump set, handled by Ogle, back line. Park, deep, number 13. And does that stay in? No! Called out of bounds by the line judge on the near side. And the Bulldogs get the point as they inch ever closer. The gap grows, the replay shows. Point Bulldog, they're waiting here. No, point Eagles. Hake handles it to Armitage. Ogle handled, jump set, deep spike attempt. All of the spike attempts seem to be flying a little bit deep in both of these games for the Eagles. I do believe it's something to do with the jump set. I remember him setting on both styles last time. It just seems like the jump set's forcing him further back away from the net for some reason. I have no idea of the fundamentals behind it and don't pretend to know the science behind it all. But all I do know is that this senior serving's a good asset to the Bulldog squad. And they do get the spike attempt brought back in by Samo. Up to Hamlin, teardrop point, Bulldogs. They only need 3 more, folks, to put them 2-0 here in this quarterfinal playoff match at Federico Gymnasium. Last home game of the season for this Bulldog squad. Last home game ever for these four seniors. And the block attempt by the Bulldogs. Are they able to get it over in four? They are. Armitage jumps it over. Nice job by the Bulldogs. D, and the spike attempt by the Eagles into the net, and the Bulldogs rewarded by their good net play by Ogle. And Hamlin really being a factor in his return here today. Bulldogs up by 10. Chant coming from the other side, though. Jump serve by the senior, Wilk. Bulldogs only need 2. And the spike tipped, handled by Wilk. Armitage sets. Ogle puts it over, and they'd have to dump. They're able to. Nice job by the Eagles. Armitage jump set to Wilk. Teardrop. He caught up, handled. They're going to have to handle it from deep, and they do. Hamlin, Wilk, Ogle finds the middle, and he. Nice job down. Nice job dumping it by Van Ness and the Eagles. And the Bulldogs try to spike it, unable to. What a volley won by this young Barrington Eagles squad. And that's why you love high school sports. Right there, folks. This no-quit team, that was the best volley of the day. And Barrington took it, 23-14, for their 14th point, down 9, and they just took the longest volley of the day. That is fantastic. That's why we bring you high school sports, folks. Bulldogs still only need 2. And they're looking for an open spot, handled by Samo. Wilk, Ogle, teardrop in the middle, handled. Park to the back line again. Deep spike attempt to the Eagles side. Ogle tries to put it down, blocked. Ogle tries to find an open spot again. And Park with the set. Tipped, this time Wilk. Ogle, Hamlin. Eagles, Park, backside into the net. Back and forth to the Eagle, and the Bulldogs come back, and they take the next biggest volley of the night. Talk about back and forth. Unfortunately here, the Eagles have run into a problem. They're out of room. Game point, Westerly, game 2. Looking for their 8th game in a row versus this Eagles squad. The serve, dug out. They're going to spike attempt, block. They're going to have to put it back over right by the net. Ogle's there, and the Bulldogs let it fall. So the Eagles alive. The bad news, they have 16 points. They, unfortunately, with 16 points, they need 9 in a row to continue this thing. And that is a task. If the Eagles can't score 9 in a row, that means game 2 goes to the Bulldogs. The serve by number 29 to the back line, Samo, to Wilk, to Hake, good spot to put it. Spike attempt, they try to handle it, it goes out of bounds, and they two-hand it to whistle. The Bulldogs the win off the hand of Hake. And what a start for the Bulldogs, 1 game away from the Final Four, 1 game away from the semifinals. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back. All right, all right, all right. Welcome back, everybody. This is Westerly.live, Westerly.radio, under a minute away from Game 3 of the Rhode Island Division II quarterfinals. The Bulldogs 1 game away from the Final Four, the semifinals in the state of Rhode Island. This team is excited. They're playing a very excited Barrington Eagles team, folks. First off, I'd like to remind you this production is brought to you in part by the Knickerbocker Music Center Live, Valenti Subaru, Wireless Zone, Strategia, Remy's Cycles, Teddy's Toys, and McQuaid's Ace Hardware. As the players take the court, they are 1 game away, not only of moving forward, they're 1 game away from saying goodbye to Federico Gymnasium. I'm not being somber because if you walk away and you're a winner, that's your last memory. It's fantastic. 4 Bulldogs here will not play on this floor anymore. There's no more Bulldogs at home anymore for these guys. But they can move on to fly. Let me tell you, the sky is the limit for this team. We've talked about it before. They will move on to an East Providence team. They beat the first 2 games when they played last time, and they almost knocked off in the 5th game. It took East Providence to win the back 3 to beat the Bulldogs. So let me tell you, these dogs aren't intimidated and are going to head out there with a bite. The Bulldogs had about 11 days off. It took a little while in game 1 for both of these teams to shake the rust off. I don't think having that extra bye that East Providence has would have served the Bulldogs well. Obviously, home court is the advantage of townies have East Providence, but I don't think that week off might have been really the deciding factor for this Bulldog squad. They did shake it off, but they needed to play, and now they are playing well. 1 game away, Final Four. We're getting ready to get started here, folks. A young Barrington Eagles squad. Starts it off, nice save by Ogle. The bump set in the hands of Haig, blocked, and they're excited. Wilk gets his hands out to the back row, and they're going to have to dump it over if they can, and they're able to. The Eagles, Wilk, bump. Armitage, set. And Samo, soft tip, tries to get it over. They're going to have to dump it, and they are called for the carry. Point goes to the Bulldogs. So an early 1-0 lead. So as the Bulldogs, if they are victorious, will move on to the Final Four. When their season comes to an end, their volleyball's career comes to an end. But not for this gentleman, not for Hunter Armitage, who is heading to Dean College, where he will be a huge asset, as he has been to this Bulldog squad. And I completely ignored a great possession there by the Barrington Eagles, as you can hear and you can see the replay clearly. A beautiful bump, set, spike scenario, and that's the key to anyone's offense, anyone scoring points. But as you can hear, the crowd's to my left, and there's no quit in this crowd, and there's no quit in those people, those kids on the bench either. A lot of them are playing with nothing to lose, and the Bulldogs are playing with everything to lose, some of them. And Samo blocked at the net, nice block, and an excitable Eagles squad with an early lead. Early on in both games, it's been back and forth for the first 6 or so points. First game, it was 14-10. Second game, the Bulldogs took control right around the 4, 5, 6 point area. And the serve by number 19 in the net ties things up at 2. This young Eagles squad, as they get older, those unforced errors will lessen. And like I said, those wins will mount up and they will move forward. We have a balanced Bulldog squad. They're coming back, and they'll be coming back with a vengeance. They have plenty of junior sophomores active on the squad, even a couple freshmen. And the bump save by the Eagles. Armitage with the bump. Wilk to the net. Samo, spike, the block. Nice job of getting it back over off the block. And that's off the right hand of Armitage. A beautiful job. And Ogle can't get to it. Nice job by the Eagles. As you can see on the replay, they put it in the spot where no one could get. And the Eagles are up by 1 here with Van Ness serving the sophomore. As a decent little crowd has filled in Federico Gymnasium, but I'll tell you right now, it is electric. I am sweating. I am so excited. Playoff high school action, baby. Nice set, bump set by Park across the court. Nice save by Haig. Armitage to Hamlin. Teardrop, they were waiting. Back set went behind them. They have to dump it, and it goes deep. And there you go, a little bit of a mistake by the Eagles. Bulldogs point. So the Bulldogs not quite in a groove just yet here in game 3. They're tied up at 3 still, though. The 4 seniors, Dante Wilk, Jackson Ogle, Marcus Hake, and Hunter Armitage. This is it here, and the serve flies deep. Good communication by the Eagles. They'll take the point, and we're back and forth here early on in game 3, folks. Best of 5 quarterfinal series. First 2 went the Bulldogs' way. In fact, this is game 9 of the season. These 2 have matched up, and the Bulldogs have taken the first 8 off the rafters. Bulldogs weren't ready for that one. Falls in favor of the Eagles. And the bounce is going their way at the moment here. I wouldn't say momentum yet at all. It's a 5-3 lead, and they couldn't do much about that. Whistle, number 13 serving, and Sigurd, another sophomore. Backline, Samo, Armitage. He touches it, good things happen. Wilt, teardrop point, Bulldogs, inbound, side out. He kind of creates that in that offense. That's what I mean. That's why he's moving on. I'll tell you that right now. Vital position. Not often. You don't often get the accolades like right there on site, but you sure do on film. And a nice jump serve to the back line, handled well by Van Ness. And the spike attempt brought back in by Samo. Nice job at the net by the Eagles. Hamlin saves it. Park with a deep set. And that spike attempt falls inbounds. Samo thought it was going to go out. Bulldogs a little annoyed now. You can see it on the court. Nice spot, nice placement, inbounds. And that'll make this one 6-4 Barrington. You would have no idea. They are laughing on the bench. They are having fun. That is a difference. That's a dangerous thing to run into, a team that's having this much fun. That means you're putting pressure on yourself, and that's kind of what's happening at the moment. Nice bump by Haig, nice spike by Armitage, and a nice job handling it by Barrington. And again, a save by Haig to Wilk. And Hamlin dumps it over, and a diving dig by the Eagles, and they dump it back on Haig to Wilk. Ogle, spike attempt falls. Gets just over the blocking attempt of the Eagles. And the Bulldogs kind of needed that side out. And Hamlin will serve number 3. Bulldogs, after all of this kind of back and forth and all this hoopla, they're only down by 1. And they just seem to be the better team this season when they're in sync, and they've been in sync so far enough in each game that they've matched up. That falls in bounds. And the Eagles are getting it fall right now. That was in there. Bulldogs let it go. This is a 3 versus a 6 seed game, which is kind of going as the seeds would expect. And number 29 to serve for the Eagles. And the Eagles are just having fun. That can be dangerous. Hakes, hammer into the net. And another goes the Eagles' way. And you know what happens when you have a little bit of fun and you got a good following and you got a good bench, good things start happening. Then you start getting momentum, and then who knows what happens. The snowball builds up. And Ogle tries to put it down. Blocked on the net by the Eagles. And another Eagle point, and 4 points is the most the Bulldogs have trailed by tonight. It's the biggest deficit of the 3 games thus far for the Bulldogs. Number 29, Luke Furness, the only senior on the team. To the back line, Hake handles it. Wilk to Armitage, to the back line and out of bounds. 10-5, the Eagles are starting to fly here in game 3. Don't count your chickens before they hatch, or whatever they say. And the serve to the back line. Samo to Wilk. Still not in a groove. Kind of just hoping for an error, really. And the serve's a little bit back. Mishandled, I should say, by Hamlin. And now we have momentum on the side of the Eagles. 6-point deficit, 11-5. A little bit of frustration on the Bulldog side. You can see them on the communication end of things. And trust me, this is game 3. If game 3 turns into game 4, this snowball turns into pressure. So this youth turns into power. It can go both ways. And a deep serve handled by Samo. Wilk to Hake to the back line, and they don't handle it well. And it's a Bulldog much-needed point. He took control of things to senior number 5. And they've needed him all year long, and they'll need him in the playoffs for certain. They've needed him on this same floor for hoops, and they've needed him on Salo Algieri Field as well for football. They most definitely need him tonight. He came ready. 11-6, spike attempt falls. Quick side out, quick answer. 12-6. Eagles double him up, and on the court right now, I got to tell you, it's Armitage being the glue here, and Hake for the Bulldogs, trying to get the rest of the team together. Hamlin's played very well. He's touched the ball very, very often. I don't know if that's been the idea, but he certainly has. To the back line, Armitage. Wilk And that falls inside on the Bulldogs side. Another Eagle point. 13-6. We are live here in Game 3, folks. Game 1 and 2 went the Bulldogs' way by a reasonable amount, 25-16 being the closest. And the serve out of bounds. Definitely what the doctor ordered. Hunter Armitage serving. Another answer from the doctor, number 15, the senior, whose career is just beginning. The jump serve, a beauty, drops in the middle. Set, spike attempt handled by Armitage. Wilk to Hake, they handle it. Samo doesn't get it quite over the net. And another quick answer by the Eagles, who again have the Bulldogs doubled up, 14-7. And the Bulldogs unable to get into any rhythm offensively in this one. And the jump serve deep, handled by Hamlin. Armitage, this should work with Wilk, and it falls out of bounds. Wilk, I will say though, what I'm seeing is he's been, other than this possession, he has been on the setting possession of things most of the time. He's been deeper off the net, and he's been forced to set. You want him at least a few times, you want him up by the net. I mean, definitely got hops, and he can definitely put it down. So when his only opportunity has been in an arena that Armitage can most definitely handle, you want to kind of change things up a little bit. There's a timeout in play, and there's a team dancing to your left, and that's the Barrington Eagles, and they are excited here in Game 3. Wipe the whole previous season away, because they certainly have, and that's what you have. That's what you have to do if you want to be successful, and that's what you run into when you run into a young team, folks. This could be an exciting long night. We might have thought this was a quick one. We might have to buckle our seatbelts. We're 30 seconds away here. It's 16-7 in Game 3. If you just walked into the gym, you'd hear me first of all, but you would have no idea what happened in the first two games. I am the voice, Greg Moran, alongside producer owner Shane Belanger. We have Lisa behind the lens. We are Westerly.live, Westerly.radio. Folks, we are bringing you baseball. Semifinal. Final four action from Similori Field beginning tomorrow night. The Bulldogs, the number 1 seed, the division winners, hosting the St. Raphael Saints, the number 2 seed in the state. If you can't be there, tune in, because we will. The serve, number 19, handled backwards off the rafters by Wilk, saved by Hamlin, put down by the Eagles. Out of the timeout, the Eagles answer. Point number 17. I will quickly finish, though. Tomorrow is the Final Four, the semifinals. And as the seeding's been realigned, all that's left, tomorrow is the number 1 and the number 2 seed in the state clashing heads for a 3-game series. And the serve, handled by Ogle. Armitage to the net. Samo tries to put it down. They dump it back over. The Eagles are able to. Hamlin to Armitage, no one there. Whistle against the Eagles, 18-7. Bulldogs on the receiving end here. Definitely an emotional third game by the Eagles. They don't want to go home yet. They don't want their season over yet. A nice set by Armitage to Hake. Block attempt. Finally, Bulldogs get a break. The speed and power of the spike, the deflection from the Eagles out of bounds. And the Bulldogs' first point in a while, folks. I didn't really pay attention, but that was a good 6-7 point run. They needed Hake serve, the line drive serve. Handled on the back line, a nice set this time. Teardrop falls perfectly for the Eagles, who are starting to make it look easy here in Game 3. You had to believe to win 9 in a row on a season in any sport, any game of anything is nearly impossible, and that's what this would be. But I think the Bulldogs may have thought they had it, but they're not done, because if they just dial in and tune in and play Bulldog volleyball, they're down 10 at this moment. This is a great challenge right here. This is a great challenge for them moving forward to springboard them to facing the Townies. If they can end up victorious tonight, Samo stepping off the court for one of the first times this evening. Back in is Brian Allen. He hasn't been in a little while. Very good server, and he will jump right in that spot for the Bulldogs. And it drops forward. They don't handle it, or do they? They bring it back in and off the net. And it's an ace off the bench by Brian Allen. And the Westerly crowd has arrived for game 3. I thought they left after game 2. Just kidding, everybody. We know how it goes. The Bulldogs side has awakened. 19-10 score. They're going to make a move here, though. They got to close the gap. It's quiet, and they can only hear me. I don't know what the break is, but we're going to be back in action momentarily. And we got a whistle, and we're back live. The serve. And it gets to the net. It's another ace, Bulldogs, for point number 11. So Allen, the spark plug, the sophomore for the Bulldogs, 2 in a row here. Dare I say, can they go to the well for a few more? The serve, a nice one over the net, drops. Park, the back set, a tough one to handle. They dump it. And they're called for the carry. 3 in a row out of the timeout. 19-12, the sophomore spark plug. Sometimes that's all you need. He had a good little break there. They brought him back on. The Barrington people are chanting, though. They for certain will not go away. The set, it was short. Blocked by the Bulldogs oval. And it's good as he pulled his hand back almost in guilty fashion. But he got him back quick enough. And that's 13 and 4 in a row for Brian Allen. 19-13 the score, and the serve. Knuckleball. And they set by Park. And the spike attempt block falls on their side. Bulldog point, Ogle the block. And now momentum, dare I say, has flipped for the first time. 19-14 off the bench for 5 in a row, Brian Allen. The sophomore serve just over the net, Doug. Park with the bump set and a set to the back line. Hake, Armitage back to Wilk. Teardrop. They're able to keep it in the air. Deep set. And Hake handles it. Armitage to Hamlin. And he finds a spot. Nice job of keeping it over by Van Ness. Armitage to Wilk. The deep spike. Dug out. What a volley. And the spike attempt blocked by the Bulldogs. It's still alive. Another spike attempt. Hake with the dig. The block by Wilk. And the throwback in by number 20. They dump it. And Hake bumps it right on the net. And it's alive. Hake, the spike, and it's still alive. Holy smokes. I don't know how much longer I can go. Armitage to Ogle. And the Bulldogs point. Oh, that's the best volley I've ever seen. And the Bulldogs crowd's alive. That is 6 in a row for Brian Toronto. The sophomore has come in and electrified the gymnasium, forced a Barrington timeout, and completely turned the tide on momentum here. A 1-minute timeout. And my God, has Brian Allen been a sophomore spark plug substitution for the Bulldogs. As everything now in a groove. And the Bulldogs' athleticism in general now coming to the forefront. There is no quit to my left. Throughout all of this, you have a chanting crowd. Your team is on, the Eagle team is on the court, ready to go. But now, the seasoned Bulldog veterans, the seniors, want to complete this thing in 3. Game number 3, if you're just tuning in. First 2 went to the Bulldogs. This game was just 19-9. Brian Toronto's come in and served 6 in a row. And this one, an ace out of the timeout. I always say the point after the timeout is huge. Barrington was forced to call the timeout, and Brian Toronto answers with an ace. His 7th point in a row, 19-16. And the serve from the back line, tough for Park. And the spike goes down for the Eagles. And finally a side out after 7 in a row. The Bulldogs trail only by 4. What a job by the sophomore. And definitely a tide turner for the Bulldogs. Number 13, Ansinger, having a great night on the net with kills. His serve goes deep. Oh no, that is just what the Bulldogs needed. An unforced error, an 8th point in a row, and a senior captain, Dante Wilkes, set to serve with the jump serve and the speed behind it. The lefty to the net. He tries to catch him sleeping out of bounds. And that's an ace, long enough ace for the Bulldogs. 18 points, 9 in a row. Trail only by 2. And now you got to figure that these Eagles starting to get a little concerned. And the serve handled, the set. Not handled well. They throw it to the deep corner. Wisely picked up by Allen. And Ogle blocked at the net. It's still alive. Ogle again. And Park will back set. Spike attempt. Diving by Toronto to Wilk. Over the net it goes. The Eagles spike attempt handled by Toronto. He's everywhere. Ogle tries to find him sleeping. Park set. Spike blocked. Dug out by Wilk. Ogle again. And we have another crazy volley. Ogle again. And the block attempt falls on the Eagles side. 20 to 19. It was just 19 to 9. And I said this is what the Bulldogs needed moving forward. They needed a 10-point deficit. They needed to learn how to come back from one. And they're doing it. They're doing it. Tipped. Out of bounds. Bulldogs point. We are back squared at 20. Holy smokes. The Bulldogs are on an 11-1 run. A race to 5. Wilkes serve. Handled at the net. And that is Hamlin who forces him out of bounds. That was by number 3 at the net. LaMelo Hamlin, and they are fired up, this Bulldog team. A 12-1 run, 21-20. Game 3. Bulldogs chant in the gym. Jump serve handled, but not well. Set, spike blocked. And another spike. Ogle puts it down, the senior. And these seniors in the middle unite. They are fired up. They are having fun. They're 3 points away from a 9-game sweep. Not a 3-game sweep, a 9-game sweep. A quarterfinal victory. And the serve goes deep. I don't want to jinx up 22-21. Side out. They are very excited in, I would say in blue, on the right. Number 20 serving, Max Oberacker. And this team has not given up. They don't know how to, this Eagle team. Handled by Hake. Near the net, the set, Ogle with the spike attempt twice. And he kicks the second time down. 23-21. The Bulldogs 2 points away from the Final Four in the state of Rhode Island, Division II, and they will meet the Townies for revenge if they can score 2 more points here. Hamlin serve across the court, bumped. Set at the net, tipped. Nice pickup by Wilk. Excuse me, that wasn't Hamlin, that was Armitage. And a nice spot. Diving attempt by Toronto, 23-22. What a game, what a game, what a game. I am sweating like one of the players out here. This Eagle team is exciting. They're young. There's absolutely no quit in this team whatsoever. There's no opponent I'd rather see on the floor because you know every game is going to be at it all the way to the end, folks. The serve by number 29. Handled by Allen. Over the net it goes. We're near the net. Ogle down inbounds. Game point for the Bulldogs. Match point for the Bulldogs. A trip to East Providence. Revenge on their mind with the Townies, who the Bulldogs took to 5 games not long ago. Ogle, the senior, to serve. High, deep, back line. Bump set. Dumped over. Hamlin. To Hake. Why wouldn't it be? And the Bulldogs win! 3 games to none. And the seniors embrace. The team embraces. What a night. What a quarterfinal game by this Westerly Bulldog men's volleyball team, who, by the way, is on their way to the Final Four. Westerly High will meet East Providence, folks, and they won the first 2 sets against them. They won 25-15 and 25-16. They won confidently against the Townies. They have revenge on their minds. The crowd's on their feet. What a night we brought you, folks. Westerly.live, Westerly.radio. But, folks, we're not done. Tomorrow night, the electricity has just begun. Final Four action, Similori Field.
the number 1 seed in the state, Westerly Bulldogs, versus the number 2 seed, Division 2, St. Raphael Academy Saints. Live, Similori Field, we're bringing it to you. Best of 3 semifinal series. We'll see you tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Signing off. What a game!